So we're going to go now to our featured athlete for this evening. Give us 1 second to bring him on the screen. Jared Goldberg, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Where are you in the world today?
I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah
Awesome.
for a couple more days. They're heading to Copper soon to start training.
Great. And is it snowing down in Salt Lake?
Yeah, it's dumping. Snowed all day yesterday. It was 63 degrees. Played 9 holes of golf last night. And what do you know, woke up to an inch or two of snow. So things change quickly.
It is crazy. I have to say,
Yeah.
Up here in Park City, we're a little bit higher in elevation, although we're not as high as the Cottonwoods where you grew up skiing, but we've had well over a foot in town today up in Park City. Just doesn't feel like November 2nd, but we're going to take it, right?
Yeah. No, I was up at Snowbird the other day, and people were powder skiing already and on like rocks and grass, and I was tempted, but way too early in the season. Gotta let the base build up for a while. So
no, that's for sure. Well, listen, to appreciate you taking the time tonight. Just to kick it off, for those who might not know you, you've been on the U.S. ski team for a decade or so, but give us a little background on how you got started in ski racing.
Yeah, so I actually learned to ski in Vermont in Killington. My parents were both ski instructors there, and that's how they met. And my parents are really big skiers, and they had an opportunity to move out to Salt Lake City. And so I moved out here when I was about 4 years old, and I was mostly a snowboarder for a few years when I was younger. When I was probably 9 or 10, I almost only snowboarded all year, but it actually taught me how to carve really well. So once I got back on skis, I was just so much more comfortable at laying it over and going deep. So I think that was actually really helpful for me to get better at carving. So then I came up through the Snowbird ski team and made it onto the D team for the U.S. team. And but something, what you guys have been talking about, like, this is something that I'm so glad to see that this is a thing now, because when I was coming up, we were obviously skiing as hard as we could wherever we went and powder skiing, and we rarely were, when I was much younger, people weren't talking about wearing beacons and bounds and being extra careful. So as I've gotten older, my late teens and definitely once I was starting to travel around the world more, I became much more careful. Like, I just wanted to add, after like the last conversation quick, is that, like, if I'm going up to powder ski and I'm in bounds, I'm wearing a beacon every single time. And if it's 3, 4, 5 inches, I think it's worth having it on. It's the easiest thing in the world to put on. So I think, like, taking little steps like that, like, why wouldn't you wear something like that when it's that easy, and if it could save your life? Also, to reiterate about skiing around Europe, it is completely the Wild West over there. And when I was younger, that we didn't talk about what was on piste, what was off piste very much. And I kind of just went off of my instincts of growing up at Snowbird and being around avalanche terrain a lot and doing some backcountry skiing. And it's scary over there. And I would just say to everybody out there that you should err on the caution side always. We have incredible skiing in the US, and we have really good patrollers, and they take a lot of time to get everything safe in bounds. And over there, they just don't have that. So sometimes I think you should have a good time when you're traveling overseas, but I think sometimes it's not worth it, and you should err on the side of caution. But just want to add that in.
Well, Jared, I really appreciate that. And I know that you're 4 years older than Bryce Astle, but he did grow up in the same club program. Did you know him at Snowbird?
Yes. Yeah, we knew each other pretty well. We raced in different eras for sure, but Bryce was a really good kid, and I really liked him. He's a really, really nice guy. And he, when I'd go and train at Snowbird, which I get the chance to do during the winter when I have breaks in the World Cup schedule, I would train and get to ski slalom with him or whatever it was. And it was always cool because I'd be, running World Cup downhills and then come back and work on my slalom a little bit for the combines, and he'd be there chasing me and throwing down some good times and getting all excited, So yeah, he was a really good skier, and yeah, really good kid.
Good. Well, Judd, I really appreciate your comments on that. And I know that since the accident in 2015, there has been a heightened level of awareness on the U.S. ski team, and we really appreciate you carrying that message. Let's go back and talk a little bit about your career. Two-time Olympian, you've been to a number of world championships. I want to go back to last year, and I know there was disappointment in not making the Olympic team, but you did end up coming back at the end of the season, defending your title in the downhill. Give us a little rundown on last year and how that's going to be a springboard for you as you head into the next season.
Totally. Yeah, last year was pretty much ski racing in a nutshell. Started out pretty bad. I had a favorite pair of boots, and when I fell in my very first race, so I DNF'd in the first race, and when my ski came off, the toe piece of my boot broke off, so I couldn't ski in my favorite boots, so it kind of just set me back. And then I started skiing really well, and then I crashed right after the new year. I crashed and cracked my tibia plateau, and had the worst bone bruise I probably could have had in my knee, and took one day off and iced my leg with a nice machine. Those are amazing. And was back out skiing the downhill 2 days later. So kind of just had to ski through pain the whole year. So, but I was able to get myself to a pretty good state actually by the time nationals came around, and was skiing well the second part of the year. So kind of saved myself in order to get enough World Cup points to keep my ranking decent and right around the top 30. And so yeah, I'm feeling good about going into this year, and just switched companies to Rosignol this year. So I'm excited about that, and just kind of switching things up after such a long time is just nice for me when I've been around for a while. So yeah, I'm excited for this season coming up for sure.
When you're a speed skier, you need to have a certain type of terrain in order to practice your craft. And particularly in your case, when you're making the switch from head to Rosignol, what have you been able to do in preparation so far this fall?
Just, this year was really cool because we actually got to go back to Chile and train full length downhill, and we went to La Parva, and it was a lot more gliding there. You're not really getting as many like hard turns, but got pretty like a good consistent hard layer, and we're able to get that ripple that we want. We didn't change the gates for a couple of days, got the rock hard snow, and then so right when you start feeling good about yourself there, we went home for a couple of weeks, and then went back down to Portillo, which is like, I don't know if anyone knows that, if anyone's ever skied at Snowbird, that's just the one reference I have is Regulator Johnson. One of the steepest groom trails there is pretty much what this downhill is like on the top part. So it's really in your face right away. And so it was like, I'm feeling out new gear all summer and jumping onto these different courses. So it was cool to kind of feel out new gear on a glidey course. And then, okay, I feel pretty good there. And then went to a steeper hill where it was bumpy and in your face, and took a little bit of time just to get used to the timing of everything. But it was good. I feel like our team got a really good balance this summer of steeps and flats. The last few years with COVID, we couldn't go down to Chile, and we had to go to Zermatt, which was our best option for sure in the world we could have done, but we just didn't have the length, or sometimes like our training would be 25 seconds long or 30 seconds long. So, but quality, but I think this year it was great. We got a ton of mileage, and yeah, I just feel like I've had a really good prep this year. So.
Cool. You're going to get to cap it off at Copper Mountain with the U.S. Ski Team Downhill Training Center. When do you start training there, and what do you anticipate finding for conditions and getting you ready for those openers in Lake Louise and in Beaver Creek?
Yeah, it looks good. I got a text from one of my teammates the other day. There's snow all the way down to the very bottom of the village, which is really great to see this time of year. Sometimes there's no snow at all and we're struggling and just to get it going. So that fires everyone up, and I'm fired up that we can go there and ski and hopefully be full length really soon. But yeah, heading there in a couple days, and going to do a little micro GS camp to work on some technique and get everything moving again. And then we're going to roll into, into gliding, speed, training, super G and downhill on the very top of the course. Probably go down into like Ono Bowl, probably a couple days. And then hopefully we'll be able to work our way down to the beginning of lights out, and then all the way down to the finish. So yeah, it's Copper for us is so good to just kind of be that last block that just kind of says, okay, it's race time. But it's kind of weird for us this year because we already kind of got ready to go race up over in Zermatt, and it never happened. So mentally, I feel like I've already flipped the switch to start race mode. But then I kind of had to like turn it down for another month. So I'm feeling tuned up and ready, but I think it'd be good now. I can go into this training block with more focus and that kind of racer's edge a little bit more. So yeah, I'm excited to get there, get on that grippy hero snow. It's always nice.
Cool. Let's wrap it up and talk about Beaver Creek. Birds of Prey, that's a favorite. If you're an American downhiller, that's where you want to perform. Tell us about the race coming up there in early December.
It's one of my favorite courses of the year for sure. It's very playful. It's got that hero snow. You could run 50th and it's pretty smooth. It's hard to explain. It's like water skiing on glass sometimes. I think it's just so flowy, and we all really like it. It's obviously cool to be home in front of our fans and and everything's in English. We understand everything. Yeah, it's good just to race in Colorado. 6-hour drive away from my home is unique for me. And I love skiing there.
Good. Well, we look forward to cheering you on and watching it on TV. Jared Goldberg, thank you so much for joining us here tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Debut of BRASS 101. Good luck this season.
Bye, guys.
That is Jared Goldberg. Great to have him here joining us tonight.